Hi, welcome back again. I'm going to show you some things today. I've been out and about, and I'm always mentioning Longacres as a garden centre. Not that I've got any affiliation to it whatsoever, I just mention it because I find it's one of the cheapest places to get most of your plants. But I want to mention another one. This is Ashridge Manor Garden Centre. This is in Wokingham, or near Wokingham, and I got these plants here from it. It's a very small garden centre, but it does produce these lovely azaleas, lovely red and white. These are £4.50 each, which is extremely good value for what you get. And something I've done over the years, as you can see in the garden, I've got some nice hyacinths coming up, and they're dotted around all over the garden. There's loads coming up. I bought this one while I was there. This is a lovely white, 3 large bulbs, and that cost me £2.45 from this garden centre. We bring them in the house, they'll flower, we'll have the scent, and they'll be lovely, and then as soon as they finish flowering, I'll bed them out into the garden, and you can build your stock up like that. Buy them when they're cheap. These bulbs were selling for £1 a piece in most garden centres, if not more, earlier on in the autumn. But if you buy them as that in a pot for £2.45, you can't go wrong. Something I've wanted for a really long time is this tree, which is an indoor plant. This belongs to the monkey puzzle family. It's called Araucaria, and this one's Heterophylla. I just love the architecture of it and everything. It's just so spectacular. This will sell in most garden centres and online. You can buy it. You'll pay between £30 and £40 for this size. But the garden centre I bought it from the other day when I went in was selling them for £7.50. So I thought I'm definitely going to have one of those. Doesn't matter if it dies off at £7.50, I can live with that. So I'm keeping that at the moment in the conservatory, and that'll be lovely for the rest of the year. As it gets bigger and bigger, we might donate it to the church where they can take bigger plants, but for the time being, that's really good. If we go up to the greenhouse now, I have bought some other plants as well, which I've bought this new beautiful, I haven't got the label here at the moment. Name's totally gone out of my mind, but I'll think of it as I go round. Bought some small bulbs as well, grape hyacinths. These are white ones, just to fill out the tub till the summer bedding comes in. Let's have a look up in the greenhouse. I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute, but we'll take them up to the greenhouse. This geranium I've got here is one that I've had on the bottom of the patio window. Has been growing. It's getting quite big now, so I'm going to take cuttings off it, use it as a stock plant, and then the main plant will go out in the summer, round about the middle of May. But we'll get some more cuttings off it for now, and that'll help it to thicken up. I have been dividing quite a few of the plants in the garden, as you can see here from this. I've not filled the hole in yet, but I dug out a chunk of this Rebecca, which is going to get to about 4 or 5 feet. That's gone down to the church where I'm doing lots of planting at the moment. We're putting in a herbaceous border. Lots of plants that I've divided, which is great. Now's, as I told you last time, now's a great time to edge up all your lawns. If you look at the beds, it stops the grass from invading into the borders. So I've got on top of most of them now, and the ground's starting to dry out a little bit, but unfortunately next week looks as though it's going to be wet and windy. So I'm glad I got it done now. Let's have a look in the greenhouse. just before we go into the greenhouse, I've done phase 2 of cutting and thinning out this conifer to make it into lollipops. That'll be the next thing. I'll trim round and shorten some of these. There's still a few bits to come off some of these that we don't want too many. So we'll get this in a nice little round ball on the top. That'll be the next thing to do with this. This Cycas that I've got here, that came from Ashridge Garden Centre as well. That's normally again about £30–40 and they were selling them off for 14. So I bought that the year before last and it's doing very well. Let's go in the greenhouse. The garden centre, as I say, is very small, but it also, can't open it with one hand, it also sells quite a range of pottery ornaments. So let's come into the greenhouse and I'll show you what's going on. There's several projects I'm doing at the moment which I can show you. Now this geranium, as I was saying, I want to use as stock plants, so what I shall do, you'll see in a second, is cut off potential cuttings. Now I've cut that back to a node or a joint for all your purposes. Try and get the cut as close to the node without actually cutting into it, and then that stops dieback, which is great. Another one here, we'll cut that right back to the joint. So that's 2 cuttings off that, which will make 2 new plants for the summer, which will be perfect. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. At this time of the year I'm taking off the flower buds so that we get strong growth and new shoots. There is also on that a dead limb there that's going back. Now that's quite woody, so I'm going to have to cut that back with a pair of secateurs. So this will just die back if I leave it on, which I don't want. I've inadvertently cut this one off, which is good because I'll also use that now for a cutting. But that's opened that up, that's taken off that dead bit of growth. Now that will still form a really good plant and it'll thicken up. I'll take it back indoors. It's too cold in the greenhouse. I can't keep the temperature up to 50 degrees, which is basically 50 Fahrenheit. Basically what it wants to be. It wants to be about 10 or 12, but it's so expensive. That's why the greenhouse is packed out with plants, because it makes it more economical to run. If you've got a greenhouse that's empty and you need to, with the temperatures we've been getting, it's not worth doing. What you do is take all these bits off, all the stipules, these little things. They'll just, if you leave them on, they'll just die back. They'll go they'll just die back, and then they're a cause of infection, which we don't want. You only want to leave a couple of leaves on here. We don't want that. We don't want that either, so I'll take that off. Then this I'll cut back just below a node, as close to the top as I can get it, and then that's perfect. That's a really good size, 3 to 4 inches. That I'll put in a mixture of compost, and they're easy enough to do at this time of the year. They'll just snap off quite nicely. You only want to leave a couple of leaves on. Again, just remove the stipules. You can leave them on, but they won't do anything. They'll just turn white like that and die off. So it's better to take them off. As I say, it's less of an infection. And then just with a nice sharp knife, just cut, nice clean cut, again, as close to the node as you can get without cutting into it. If you was to cut through that node, then you would get dieback, and it would be a source of, this would start dying back and it would soon die off. But that's perfect. There's 3 cuttings, and in the next week or 2 I'll be doing the same with the other plants that I've got on the windowsill in the house. They're very quick and easy to take, especially once you're used to doing these sort of things. And if I was you, I'd put them on your windowsill, keep them indoors, and they'll form lovely plants. You've got another 8-9 weeks before they're due to go out. Things like geraniums and that are tender, you're not going to put them out until the middle of May. Now, I showed you in the autumn I took a cutting, a fuchsia cutting, and this is it. I kept it in the greenhouse up until about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it wasn't growing. It was about this tall, and then I took it in the house and put it on the windowsill, and in the last 3 or 4 weeks it's grown a good 6 to 8 inches, and that's now about the height that I want this stem for this standard fuchsia. Always keep the leaves on. This will keep the sap flowing, but what you do is remove any side shoots that start to come in between all these little leaves. You can see tiny little side shoots starting to appear. You just knock them off without damaging the leaves that are on there. The leaves will continue to make the sap move up and also thicken this stem up, so this stem will get thicker and thicker if you leave the leaves on. And once we get to this height, I'll stop taking out those side shoots. It's starting to flower. Those flower buds I will take out, but I'll leave the buds that are in there, and then from now on these will start sprouting, and once they get to 1 inch or 2, I'll then stop them and we'll get 4 shoots, and then we'll stop the 4 shoots and we'll get 8 shoots, and that'll form the top. And you need to tie it in to support it because it'll be getting quite heavy. But that for now will go back in the house, and in another week or 2 I'll probably pot it on as well to a bigger pot. That is that. I'm running out of space to show you things. That's that one done. Now, I went to the garden centre about 2 weeks ago. Went to Longacres and bought these starter pots. Now these are petunias, and most of them are Safina. There's different colours, nice purple, nice pinks, whites, and what I did, I've already done one with that starter pot. I've potted it on into a slightly bigger pot. Mainly the roots, it could have gone longer for the roots, but more I didn't want it to dry out. When they're this size, in this size pot, they'll dry out ever so quickly. So it's good to pot them on, and I've potted that on to a slightly bigger pot. The easy thing to do there is get the pot that you want, that size, place your other pot, this pot, in the middle, fill the soil round, take this out, and then just take it out of the pot and drop it in, which I've showed you in some of the earlier ones that we did. It's still a little bit cold. I mean, next week we're going to get, in the next few days, we're going to get minus temperatures again. So the temperature will only stay about 5 degrees in this greenhouse. It shouldn't drop below that. Other jobs you can do at the moment, I started off some of these begonias, and this was one of last year's tubers which I started off. You can see how many shoots it's got on that. Now with begonias, what you can do, if you want to increase your stock, that tuber that's in there, you can, it's quite large. You can take a knife and you can cut. I'm trying to do this without damaging too many buds, but you can cut through the tuber. So we've got 2 now, and what I can do is take that out It's just starting to root now. You can see the roots are starting to come on there. Didn't go quite through it, so I'm going to have to cut. I'm going to have to cut that again. It didn't go deep enough, but there we go. Now then, you can, if you want, that's still quite big, so you can, if you want, then cut it again and turn it into 4 plants. So we've got 2 there and 2 here. You can use a kitchen knife if your wife doesn't mind. But we've got 4 plants there. It's good to leave this for a day or so, just like that, to dry out. It'll callus over better. But then pot it up. It doesn't want to go in that big a pot now, but it can go in one about that size and pot it up. So we've got 4 there out of 1 tuber. Another job I've done now, which I can show you. These hanging baskets are the red begonias that we had on the pergola, on the archway last year. These have started to sprout. I left them in the hanging baskets and put them underneath the bench on their side like this, so that they didn't get too wet. But yesterday I took them out, I broke off all the old soil and I've reused it. I've put it in with a mixture of stuff. There's some more stuff now which I'm going to tell you about, but my wife can't film, so I'll take over the camera. Don't stop it. No. Right. Okay. I'm going to show you. She's got to go to a meeting, but as you can see, all the little shoots that are coming on this begonia, and this begonia is massive. The tuber on this begonia is huge. It was about that sort of size, so it's increased 4-fold. It's massive. I could cut that again the way I've just done now, and we could get at least 4 tubers, if not 5 plants out of that, if you wanted to do that. But I want this to be quite large, so I'm just going to leave that this year. And the same with this one. You can see all the little shoots starting to come on there, and that will, we could divide it if we want to, but I'm not going to. A good thing to do with these when you pot them up is keep them upright, so that for watering you can either put it in a bucket or put it in a plant pot. That one's got a hole in, so that's I don't know if you can see. Just put it in a plant pot like that, and the bottom will sit in the hole, and you can keep it upright. That's placed it into the hole. Now the dahlia tubers I've started. I've also started, I bought, sorry, getting my fingers in the way. You can tell my wife's better at this. I bought this white geranium because I haven't got any. I've got